between me and Dax, we're keeping that really tight right now, so you're not going to get anything out of us there about the updates that will be coming during December. In the meantime, give me just a minute. I'm going to keep looking for questions because I know you guys have an overwhelming amount of them. And as I see things that we already have a solid response for, I'm going to go ahead and respond to them.
Russ, do you want to start going around a little bit while Dev keeps answering questions?
Yeah, sure. Let's go around. Well, let's start with MCZ, or should we go to the checkpoint?
Go ahead and start at the very beginning, checkpoint. You can start outside if you want.
Alright. Well, let's start with the outside of this thing. This is a bit work in progress, but still. So, meet the thing, which is set epsilon. This is the main entrance for the thing. We'll have a bunch of caves all around this thing for Class Ds to, well, get into epsilon somehow. So that's the main gate, the entrance, through which well, most of you are gonna get in. This area is kind of work in progress still, but not too bad, I guess.
Yeah, you might notice in the entrance we've redesigned it a bit in consideration of what you guys need when heading to a test. There is place for Class Ds to wait in researchers. There is a new spawn for researchers right on site to make sure that they can get to whatever test they were at or to whatever test they need to get to faster, because it makes no sense for you to have to travel back the entire site. Obviously, because we've redesigned Epsilon, we've also redesigned a couple of the spawns near it and a couple of other areas. Some of those we'll be showing you today. But this is the process through which you'll get to a test from now on. There's plenty of space to bring in vehicles, to bring in large trucks carrying whatever, and all of these spaces have a particular reason, some of which we're not yet ready to let you know, but they'll make a critical impact on how gameplay is. The team has taken a look at what the flow is since you pick up a Class D or since a Class D spawns until they get to a test, and we're going to be releasing improvements both over time and during major updates that make it easier for a Class D to actually get into a test if that's what they want. We're working really hard to try and separate the Class Ds that want to riot from the Class Ds that want to be part of tests, knowing that sometimes Class Ds want to do one of both. And we're going to do our best to make sure that it doesn't impact the two types of gameplays. Combatives can still have fun shooting at each other, making sure the CDC is secure, or recontaining it when Class Ds escape. And we won't be addressing much the frequency of that. What we'll be doing is making sure that tests aren't affected by that. It's going to be much harder for you to interfere with the other types of side activities. You want to riot, you want to make chaos. Yeah.
Dev, I know you're the master here. I'm seeing some comments about optimization and wondering if PATHOS is going to be more laggy. You should probably address that.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. You might have noticed in the latest update, we fixed a lot of the lag in PHI. We've been working with the team at Roblox to make the game more optimized, which isn't very easy to do when the game is this size and this detailed in terms of the map. But I can confidently tell you that in the tests we've run in Epsilon, even on low-end computers, we've gotten a solid 60 FPS. So if you're deep inside Epsilon, it's actually going to be far less laggy than any other site we've released thus far. Obviously, this is always subject. What?
As a note for anyone who's concerned about part count, MCZ has less parts right now than the entirety of Epsilon right now has less parts than current MCZ on live.
Yeah, we've now that we have access to new technologies that we didn't when the original PATHOS came along, and even the re-release of PATHOS came along. What we're creating fresh is much more optimized than old builds. We have already re-uploaded a bit of the old builds to make them better, but obviously there's a limit to what we can do, and we're now more focused on the new builds than we are on the existing ones. I'm also going to take this time to address a couple of questions you guys have on the oh, I lost it. There sure are a lot of
The
questions.
stream will be coming back. Russ is just fixing something. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, I got
Yeah,
the issues.
I know you guys want to ask a lot of questions about other departments that maybe we've had before. I won't be talking much about them. I can tell you that Command has a plan for them, but our current focus is on the departments that are already in game. I know a lot of departments reasonably have been feeling neglected. We obviously only have a limited capacity. We can't yet have one scripter per department, although we're actually working very hard on hiring enough people that we could, for the future, have one feature being worked on for each department at a time. But as you can imagine, that's a very big endeavor. I can't make promises about that, but I can tell you that it's one of our focus. We've also gotten much more organized as a team recently. Adopted a couple of tools that are going to allow us to better keep track of tasks that we were missing, bugs that we were missing. And by the way, I want to take this time to thank the entire quality assurance team, which, as soon as we adopted those tools, immediately filed what can only be described as 50 bug reports an hour, which, you know, it's great for us to keep track, not as great because I have to fix it. And I also want to thank the entire development team, which has been very hard working at fixing all of them. You guys know who you are. Moving on to a couple of your questions. I'm not going to give a percentage on how much of this is done, not least because it's very difficult to estimate and because we frequently change what our criteria for, let's push this update is. I can tell you that probably the major Rising Dawn update we'll release first is going to be the one we're showing you. It's going to be when you're going to start noticing the major Rising Dawn content entering the game. And yeah.
I can go ahead and give your voice a break, Dev, if you want.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that so I can read a couple of questions.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and look in the chat VC real quick just to make sure I get some stuff. Server size, that is likely not going to change. We will change it if we need to.
Yeah, I'd like to point out we recently
spamming in the channel does not help. I'm really just going to ignore you.
Yeah, we recently updated the server size as a temporary test. You guys probably saw that we managed to break well over 200 players during this update. And while the server had some trouble, this is nowhere near the trouble we've had in the past. We know what the major pain point is. We know what's causing the server to struggle now. And it's a massive recode that we're undertaking, but it's one that we're undertaking gladly. I can share with you, because this is no problem at all, for you to know that the major pain point we have is all the guns firing at once. And we've already worked on some changes and tested some early gun system changes that could potentially mean that there would be no trouble with 200, 300, or even 400 players firing a minigun at once. And while this might seem a little crazy, you guys sure fire a lot of bullets. So we're taking that into account for future updates. We really, there is absolutely no one on the team that doesn't enjoy the idea of a massive player count PATHOS, because the more players there are, generally the more fun we're having. And the fact that the site is bigger, as you can see in what Rust is showing you, is also going to allow us to have more players, because you're more spread out. The gameplay becomes a little bit less dense, which means we can allow more people into a single server. This is going to make it easier both in performance, because if you're all fighting in the same area, the game does get laggy, and we can only do so much about that. But it's also going to make it so that when we increase the player count, we're not going to be in a situation of, well, now the CDC is crowded and there aren't enough cells for everyone. So we're really going to be doing our best to mess with that and to make sure that you can actually get as many players as you want in a single server. Because this has been a frequent question, let me also address that we know there have been a couple of persistent bugs, and one of the upcoming updates, one of the series of upcoming updates, is going to be bug bashed. We have been silently pushing a lot of bug fixes to critical issues while you guys weren't looking, sometimes even without logging them, which internally can be a bit of a difficult thing, because we often do lose track of the bugs we've already fixed because we're handling a lot of them. We're trying to get better at this, but do know that we're paying attention to them and we're working our best to fix all those persistent bugs. Things like issues in the commands for private servers, we're addressing that, and we're also expanding them, because we know that private servers are something very important for departments. This, in our part, is going to take some pretty big changes for some of them. And for some of them, it's just things that we've been neglecting because there's an overwhelming amount of changes we're working on. I don't think any of you will be surprised if I tell you that at this moment, or at least last I checked, we had something like well above 100 confirmed bugs. And it's perfectly natural for us to take care of 20 of them in a single update. But it can be a very overwhelming thing for developers, not the least because it keeps us from releasing new content. I know it can be frustrating. We're working hard to balance between, we want to put new content to keep you guys engaged, and we want to fix bugs that can be very annoying to all of you. We're also working on some things that aren't exactly bugs, but that seem like it because we didn't properly design something. I know this is a big thing, for example, with cuffs, that a lot of people didn't even know you could remove other people's tools with it, nor do you know the key code to do it. I know some things like the radio, for example. An upcoming thing I can talk to you about the radio is the fact that we'll finally be bringing, I can't believe we didn't have this, an indicator for unread messages and other channels, and even finally removing the need to for SD to count the amount of times, the amount of strikes until someone gets sent to solitary. Which, by the way, now that it's been approved, and now to
Alright, so this is the main corridor which leads to the breach shelter and the SD spawn. This is the kind of the cave with PATHBucks. Alright, let's first go to the security office, which should have been and probably will be the new security office. This is the rally area. It's unfinished, but still.
So many W's, oh my gosh.
Yeah, so let's go. That's the primary SD locker room. They spawn right there. And also, just to mention, this is just a spawn location. You can choose from the primary SD spawn, and this is. So this is some sort of just official spawn without any shooting range, anything, just small thing. Well, this is CSU. This is this is nothing yet. And what else we got there? This is SRU. Oh, this is MP. Nothing interesting in there. Oh, we got some command offices, which we
They're so old.
yeah, they're really old. We did not update them for a pretty long time overall. This is the primary file lobby with this spinning screen. And actually, I might show you it later on. It changes with the protocol. So if there's red heron, it's gonna show you a special decal which says red heron, get the fuck out of here and go to breach shelter. What else we got there? Well, this is the main auditorium. I should probably show it to you. Yeah, this is our thingy, which will not be loaded until it's actually needed because it's fucking huge, say the least. So that's pretty much the whole thing. It fits like 200, 300
I have
people.
to go back and look at the math, but if I recall correctly, it was around 375 or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Total.
you're currently streaming the stage in the stage.
Yes, you are.
In the meantime, what else we got there? This is never gonna be made. What else we got? Oh, well, let's go this way. So this is
you know what you should show them?
oh yeah,
Show 'em
the
the
atrium.
atrium.
Yeah, later on. So this is the FB spawn, which is well, this is actually what you're gonna meet with the FB jobs update. Probably, I don't know, maybe. So this goes right there.
Hold
This
on,
is
just
like,
before you go out there,
yeah.
we have never shown anyone, not even the Patreon supporters, what the atrium
Yeah.
is.
The only
We
people
Yeah,
have
who've seen
planned
it
to
are
keep this
SCI.
entirely secret until release. So
That's
this is
some
the first
DDA
time any of you guys are
Office.
seeing this.
Yeah, meet the atrium. This is the most gorgeous thing on the whole of the whole PATHOS. Oh, where the fuck is the building? Oh, I guess
What building's
gone?
there was a
It may
giant
not.
building.
It may not load in from this far away, but
You know,
or
No,
may have been
probably
removed to
someone
this specific.
forgot to add the little flag that makes it load in, or someone deleted.
yeah,
But I
we
think someone
plan to have a
deleted it because I added
going.
the flag myself.
Wait, so it's just not there. Well, this is sad. Just
I'll remind you guys. We do not have any plans of taking this exact building layout and porting it over to the live game.
Yeah, it's
we
just
found in testing
We
that was
planned
far
that.
too large.
We decided on that several months ago because right now this site fi it's just too big.
You
We
might
also
want to show
mentioned that
Pathbucks
in the
DDA.
document. And this building style, this will entirely be seen in the live game. How the site was made, the different colors, theming, etc. That will be in game. But this exact layout will not.
right. So what else we got there? Oh, we got these rooms. I love them, but they're never gonna get used.
You have DDA
So,
spawn.
yeah, let's just show you people DDA spawn. This is that's just the lobby. That's the another lobby, I guess. That's their spawn. Please put. Oh, hello. Oh,
So long ago, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty old. What else we got there? A few offices. This beautiful room. This. Oh yeah, I made this room and I was lazy when making it, so I just placed a bunch of things. These do not matter. Oh, that's probably where PATHOS is. I don't know. Probably. But still, that's the whole thing, pretty much. Oh, still have this.
Oh my
The
gosh, I
original
remember
jar.
that.
The really bad script one.
Oh, I got Shadley's office. What else we got?
Also, cool little tidbit. We made those clocks work. Like, actually
Yeah,
work.
they were working.
Oh yeah, that
believe that was
the
glitched.
amount of time that it took me to sync those clocks to the actual city that's written above. Good grief.
So what else you got then? This thing. Oh yeah, Pathbucks, my beloved. Pathbucks. So meet the whole thing, which is well, yeah, that's just the point where you can have the best looks of both the atrium and this shitty ass cave. I don't like it at all. What else we got? Oh yeah, let's just show you the second floor. This should be like a higher rank FP spawn. So like if you're some important dude like SC4, you spawn right there.
Unix, stop spreading rumors.
No, maybe. Well, what else you got? This is the staircase. Another staircase.
There is the AD area.
Wait, AD? Oh, this should have been.
And the control room.
Yeah, by the control room.
Which I don't know if it's in that TC, but
yeah,
it is.
It should be right there.
I know, I grouped it.
By the way, people, this is like from this point, this is the only area which I did not make myself. Yeah.
Well, aside from that one room that I made, but
Oh yeah, I did not actually. Let me actually show the people what you have made. It's actually
yeah,
really nice.
yeah, this was being worked on before I was hired.
Yeah.
I
No,
worked on
actually,
it
you
as
were
a
hired,
contract.
but you were not active at the time.
Yeah, I hadn't actually
Ah.
been put on payroll yet, so.
And then this is the only area which I did not make also, and this one. This was made, I think, by Devshin or who? Yeah, by Devshin. So, this is the AD spawn pretty much, and this is the control room. It's pretty neat overall, and it should have had like a view on. We have planned to have like a giant ass monorail transit hub right there, but we did not make it in the end. We just scrapped the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Do you want to address optimization again? Because that's still
Oh yeah,
popping
it's
up.
actually
Yeah, I'm
no,
going
not-
to address optimization, and I have a couple more questions that I'm going to get to. And yeah, I'm going to cover a couple more. I don't want to extend this event much longer. I don't want to tire you guys out, and I want to keep some suspense on what we're going to add. So just a couple of things that I think we should cover. First of all, when it comes to optimization, I feel it's important to stress that the way we build these areas, it's with a lot more standards and a lot more efficient than we've built before. It means that players with weaker hardware are going to be able to run PATHOS much better than they have up until now. It also goes into the scripting. We've made a lot of optimizations that make it so both the server crashes less, which you might have already noticed, and so that at the end of the day, most players should be able to hit 60 FPS without problem. I know one of the questions you guys had was regarding settings to reduce lag. We already have a couple of things that we're going to be exposing in settings, like fog, that you might have noticed recently is missing in some areas. It looks really good, but we noticed that it was affecting a lot of players. So you're going to have a setting to enable or disable that, and it's going to save in between gameplay sessions, so you don't have to reconfigure it. And it's going to allow players that have the best hardware to get the best settings. It's going to allow those of you that don't have as good a hardware to go in and play just as smoothly. And it's also going to reduce a lot of lag spikes that I know some people have been experiencing. We're working on those. Couple of other questions that I've noted down here, and I think, unless Matthew has any disagreement here, these are going to be the last ones I'm going to answer today. SCP cross-testing.
After you finish, I just want to point out some notes before we end.
SCP cross-testing. We have done a lot of changes in code that finally allow us to develop things like this. Things like, for example, the roar of 682 actually breaking down windows just wasn't possible until a short time ago, and now we're able to add that in a couple of seconds. Things like those integrations between the site and SCPs and other SCPs are now starting to become a thing because we have better systems, we have a more organized team, and that's going to reflect on those things. However, I'm not going to release anything specific on that yet, but yes, it's now going to be a possibility that SCPs might have effects that stack on top of each other and might have effects that even create new effects between SCPs that you just weren't expecting. Joint raids. I'd like to point out, for those of you putting a little bit of pressure in DDA, joint raids is also a thing that MAD has to put a lot of work into. We are putting work into making sure that the raid systems are something that DDA can just define what they want and it will happen. So if they agree to a raid between free groups, then free groups can raid at once. And we're going to make it so that instead of developers having to define hard rules for raids, those can just be tweaked by DDA before an event. But that's still going to take some time. It takes a lot of work for us. We need to add new features into the game that allow for that. But you will be seeing that coming eventually. For the people asking about Pandora, no, Pandora will not be removed from 5. It's still going to be a fixture. And in fact, it illustrates that when we do these site redesigns, we're doing our very best to ensure that we don't remove any features that exist currently, unless they're really bad for gameplay. So things like Pandora or the radio that you all seem to hate in 5, those are sticking, and we're going to make
the
it
radio is
louder
getting
next update.
The radio is in fact louder next update by 60%, but does now have something new that people have been asking for since before I started working here. You'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, you'll just have to go there and listen to it. Yeah,
it now
because
follows
we
you as well.
like to punish you a little bit.
The voices. Ooh.
In fact, yes,
So,
I did in fact make it 60% louder last night.
So a couple
And,
more questions you guys have. Yes, I will address Pathbucks. There is already a little Pathbucks logo somewhere in game that you guys just haven't noticed because you haven't been paying enough attention. And if you find it, then maybe you'll find where Pathbucks will be coming soon near to you.
it's
The
inside
fact you
of
guys haven't seen
containment
that has
zone.
been
Go
a source
inside,
of
check it
much
out.
disappointment. Yeah, sorry for cutting you off, Unix.
Oh, it's fine.
So a couple more questions. That I had written down here. I already covered FP jobs, but for those of you that still had some questions, I'm not releasing the specific names of FP jobs. Yes, they will be taking some jobs related to the trams. They will be taking some jobs related to logistics. And they might even take some jobs related to minor site maintenance. There are some things we still don't know about these, so we're not going to be talking much about them. But yes, it's something we really want to put towards because we know that FP haven't had a lot of gameplay thus far. Regarding Monorail Ops Room and ETS, I'm not going to confirm any relationship between those. The Monorail Ops Room will be available when it's built. We haven't built it yet. And it will probably be way before ETS is a thing. So whether ETS gets any gameplay there, I can't tell you yet. When it comes to SCD subdivisions, I know some of you have questions, but that's something we still need to talk with both O5s and SCD command. Right now, in my opinion, take this with a grain of salt, obviously. We believe we still have a lot that we want to add to SCD gameplay. I feel like if we go in and add subdivisions right now, which we could do, that would be work that we're not putting towards base SCD gameplay. And I want to have a really good structure of there isn't a boring moment for SCD on site. Same goes for MD and their subdivisions. For those of you asking about reworking the commands for private servers, I already addressed that here, but yes, I'm working on a fix. The problem we've been having is we already rewrote the commands, but as far as we can test, they work, and then you guys tell us that they don't. So we're working on a better way to test to make sure that doesn't happen, but right now, as far as we can tell, they work, and that's what's been delaying us fixing them. I know some of you have questions about Foundation investors and their personal defense weapon. That's something you're going to have to ping us about in the reserve channels, and we will discuss it there. And for those asking about Team Paycheck, specifically the SD Paycheck, as I already mentioned, our objective is to make sure that you earn in-game credits for any task that the game encourages you to do. So for SD, defending and guarding the facility and the CDC, we are doing our best to make sure that you get credits for that. For CSU, that does mean for combat healing and actually taking more of a healing role than a combative role. For MP, enforcement actions, everything like that. We'll be trying to add paychecks to all of those things. The only thing that's stopping us is we also need to guarantee that you can farm it. So it's a slow process, but we haven't forgotten about you. And last but not least, for those asking about lore questions, we just recently started merging the lore department directly into MAD. We brought on a lot of people to work on lore, so you're going to see more from that end. There are a couple of very big announcements we want to do there, but I'm not going to do them in this session. You're just going to have to stay tuned and make sure that your pings are on so that you can actually be the first one through them. So yeah, that's it for my Q&A. I know Matthew has a couple of things he still wants to cover, so I'll let him get to that. And thank you guys for coming.
I'm still seeing questions regarding different sites being remade and how big they're going to be.
That's my question.
Yeah,
Huh?
that is to be decided as we work on each one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the size can change drastically as we work on them and as we realize, oh wait, maybe this, like, just so you guys have an idea, we had a gigantic build of highways a short time ago that we may even release some screenshots of later, if Russ doesn't mind. That was just beautiful, but it would impact
seen
TD gameplay a
one.
lot because it would take 10 minutes to walk from one point to the other.
Should
So
I
we can't tell you the exact size.
I'll just find the current screenshot that we have.
Oh, I was going to send one of the in-dev ones from the side.
Sure.
Let me just scroll down here until I find it. You can keep talking while I do this.
I was just gonna say as well, like the size of like current payful is quite large. The of video is going to be larger, obviously. The reason it feels smaller, I guess, on current payfills is just because A, used to it, and B, you've got lots and lots of cars, so it's quite easy to just sort of drive around the whole site in like 12 minutes.
It's inside the stage text chat. That specific section will not be released because we found that it did not work well with gameplay. But yeah,
we will take a ton of things from this exact build. Take the style, all the stuff, and revamp a big part of 5 of it. Well, not just big part, whole 5, which will lead after certain updates of overall style, epsilon, all the stuff.
Gavin, Evan, I do want to address that. That is one of the reasons that we went with not going ahead with the site fight that we showed you earlier. Even though we love it, and it's clear that you guys love it, it just wouldn't work well with gameplay. We made it too big for realisticality, and that's just not going to work in Pathos, even though we would love for it to be in-game.
Yeah, and by the way, we'll keep considering these things as our ability to do stuff changes. So, for example, we probably would give more consideration to a larger site now because the trams are back. And by the way, I can tell you guys, because we've already added it, they're going to get a speed bump. It's going to be a little faster, and you're going to get panels in the tram stations, which we already had planned, actually, that show you how far the tram is. I'd prefer to add like a timer that says how long it's going to be, but I'm not ready to add that one yet. So for now, it will show you how far the tram is from the station and in what stations it currently is. So you're going to get a better idea of how long you have to wait. It's also going to be, at the moment, double the speed it was previously, so it's going to get to you faster. We really want it to be easier to travel around the site. And as we make the site larger, that will hopefully allow us to not hinder gameplay. If we get to a point where most people say travel by tram, we'd probably consider making the site significantly larger, not the least because it actually helps us reduce lag for you. I
saw someone mention that they still want to see the Atrium come in game. That's not to say that we're going to scrap the style of this FI. I would love to see the Atrium in game too. That's just going to be left up to whether it really works.
Yeah. It might
we
work, it might
all
not.
see that you really love the Atrium, so I'm sure that we'll do our best to see what we can do with it.
Well,
But I
actually,
cannot
I have
make
a
any
shit ton of
promises.
ideas already how to implement it.
Yep.
Well, we're finally
Also,
Yeah.
as a note, although there's a question about if we would be able to release this version of FI as a standalone showcase type thing, it's unlikely considering that a lot of the systems designed for it we don't use, or we have different systems that we've made since the ones for it were made, like doors.
Yeah, more importantly, listen, I know you guys want to see the content, but I'd have to assign a developer to that, and that's a lot of time we lose on actually delivering content that you can play in game. So while I know it's a request you have, there are just some requests that we don't have the size and the structure to accommodate, and that would be one of them. But you're probably going to see a lot of things that look like that, and hopefully even better in game in the not so distant future. So stay tuned. We're really working hard to make sure you guys have access to things like that.
Oh, and by the way, about the optimization of all the things, I'm just gonna tell.
Your mic has cut
why
out,
is not
Rust.
oh well, that I myself have NVIDIA 1050 Ti, and I have. Wait, hold on. I have Intel Core i5, and well, I run all of these things on 60 FPS stable, and I don't experience any lag spikes or anything. So it's pretty optimized. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's not to detract from those of you that do have lag spikes, but the point is, all of this has been, for example, on my end, tested on the laptop. There are a couple of more developers that have gone through the trouble of digging up old laptops and testing them. In fact, as it stands, the current version of the game, at least in my case, was completely developed on a laptop. And, while we're adding effects that target high-end players, because we want the site to look really nice, we're also making sure that that won't affect those of you that can't run that amount of effects without cutting off gameplay, while still trying to make the site look as great as possible. This obviously is a difficult balancing act, but I feel like we've gotten better at it. And you're going to see that as we release the new sites, which I personally, on my testing, have been more efficient than the sites we have currently.
Are there any other things that you guys want to talk about?
I think we should wrap this up.
Okay.
Go
ahead.
I will say that as far as environmental storytelling, since I've seen some mentions of that, you will have to wait and see. We're not going to discuss that in public because there's no fun in spoiling the story.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been working on the toilet law for like quite a while now, and it's almost ready, so I don't want to spoil that for anyone.
I
Yeah, we signed Unix to that. He loves it.
Yeah, I do. Good, it's good.
Hold on, I actually want to show you this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, right.
Also have this.
Yes.
Yes, these may or may not make it on or into the live game. We hope to have them, but we cannot guarantee it.
Okay, I'll go ahead and wrap this up, especially because I gotta go and